good to see Scarlet off of that driveway. Yes, she passed. Shall we?
This is the best day of 2022 by a country mile! Just couldn't get any better. I am so in love again! Oh. So yeah, calm it all down a bit now. I'll try anyway. Scarlet's passed. And I'm going to be completely honest, I am stunned at that news. Stunned. Genuinely, hand on heart, didn't think it would happen. I genuinely thought something's going to get us big here. It's going to either be, I don't know, rust, the emissions, the fact that the brake discs were all over the shop when I first started her up and took her out of the drive. I thought genuinely that's what's going to get us. I couldn't believe it when they phoned me. I said in the last video that ordinarily you'll give the car into the garage that I use and you'll get a phone call about 5 o'clock in the afternoon saying, yeah, your car's ready. Or if something goes wrong, they'll phone you about 11:30. Now, I said that kind of tongue-in-cheek, but I got a phone call at 11:30. And I genuinely thought, that word. I couldn't believe it. I thought, oh no, something's went wrong, what is it? And then when they just said, there's a few advisories, which we'll go over in a minute. So she's passed then, yeah? Yeah, your car's ready. In fact, I'll give you a reenactment of it. It was this, me, hello, them, aye, yeah, there's just a few things that we need to go over here. Oh, right, okay, what would that be then? Well, it's just to let you know there's a few advisories. Right, so she's passed. Yes, the car's passed. You're like, trying not to do a merry dance and where I was at the time, but you're like, how could you not be that? Why did you not make it happy news? It was, yeah, your car's passed, come and get it. So, yeah, that aside, there is some advisories. I'm just looking for somewhere to stop and we'll go over them and what that means for the future. I'm just going to let it rip a minute. I'm too tired of that. Can I just say an apology to Racing Beat, because your racing cat does indeed pass. Oh my god. That's insane. Absolutely insane. If you own one of these cars, I know I've already said it, but I'll say it again, do it. Get a stainless steel manifold bolted on and a Racing Beat cat. It's just, let's do it again. It's insane. Utterly insane. Now, the advisories. I've just realised, like the absolute idiot that I am, that I think I've shot the last bit of footage all out of like light. We'll see when I get home because I can't tell by looking at the camera lens, but hey ho. Anyway, we're parked up. So Scarlet's MOT. Now there is 4 advisories, and I must admit, in fact there's 5, sorry. One of them I'm really annoyed about, and it's the first one which has been persistent over the last couple of years, and it is oil leak but not excessive. I wish they would tell me exactly where that is, because every time it crops up I think, yes, that's been the actual gasket for the head of the block, but it isn't, obviously, because it's still bloody there. I thought that would have solved that, so yeah, we need to find out what that is at some point and actually if we can get it addressed, because it's literally been on every MOT for Scarlet since I bought her. And before I bought her, apart from the one that was done just as I was about to buy her. Convenient, I know. What else have we got? Brake pipe corroded, covered in grease or other material near side rear. That's the rear brake pipe is corroded apparently. Now, from what they told me, it was the actual flexi pipe, so we'll need to get that sorted as well at some point. Also, brake disc worn, pitted or scored, but not seriously weakened, near side front and off side front. So basically, Scarlet's front discs are scored or pitted or worn or whatever. Now, the funny thing is, right, this just goes to show you the difference between driving a modern car and driving a car that's nearly 30 years old, is that, well, basically, that one drive up to get petrol and then off to the test centre, I knew, I'm going, there's something wrong here, this doesn't feel right. So yeah, I could almost guarantee on a modern car, probably wouldn't have had a clue that had happened. Genuinely, you wouldn't know that they were wearing out or that, but on this car, yeah, you definitely notice. So it's a good news, bad news thing. Basically, at some point, we are going to have to do the discs and pads anyway. I knew that was going to happen. It's something that I am kind of budgeting for. I say budgeting, but it's something in my mind that I think, yes, at some point in the next year, we're going to do it anyway. So yeah, it's going to have to happen at some point. It will be sooner rather than later now. And I think what we'll do is we'll also put in the braided hoses all the way around as well, so that kind of prevents us from getting that sort of advisory again. Believe it or not, that is actually all the advisories, bar one. We'll get to it in a second. And I'll be completely honest with you, looking at the emissions test, it failed on something, but I have no idea what that is. But it passed everything else and passed all it needs to pass. So, happy days. But the last thing on the MOT, and I had to bite my tongue when I went into the garage because I happen to know how the last advisory is on the advisory list. So, the final one, that is a biggie. Integral body structure is corroded, but structural rigidity is not significantly reduced offside front. That's underneath here, underneath my seat, which is the, I keep wanting to call them chassis rails, but they're not chassis rails, which is why she passed. There's the two rails that run underneath the floor pan, and unfortunately what will normally happen is some people will jack up these cars in the wrong places. There is 4 jacking points on the rails, but they are at the outermost extremities of it. They're not just put the jacks in anywhere. Unfortunately, what I believe has happened is when Scarlet went in for the new clutch kit and the exhaust that they fitted for me, well, about a couple of weeks after, I was looking underneath Scarlet and I noticed the hole, and I then put 2 and 2 together going, that wasn't me, I didn't do that, I know where to jack this car up. So I thought, it's went on the ramp. They've not realised that they've obviously put the plates in the wrong place, and it's buckled it, and it's basically left a hole. Didn't tell me. I'm a bit annoyed about that. I believe that's what's happened, but I never brought it up because I thought, well, I'm not 100% certain. I don't know that for sure, but I believe that's what's happened. I'm not 100% certain, but yeah, I think that's possibly what's happened, and they've just not told me. Possibly because that hole's never been there before. There's never been any issue with it. The underside of Scarlet, there's no anything that has kind of jagged up or caused a ding, but it could be, it could not be. I believe that's what's happened, but again, I'm not 100% certain, so I'm not going to lay the blame solely at their door. It could be something else, but I think that's what's happened. So at some point, that'll be a wee bit of welding required in order to sort that out, unfortunately. But yeah, what are you going to do? But that's basically it, to be honest. I'm annoyed about that one, but apart from that, really happy that she passed. Actually, genuinely couldn't believe it. I was stunned, completely stunned that she passed. I thought, there's no way on earth it's going to happen, but yeah, it did. So what does that mean for us then? Well, coming up in the next couple of weeks, Scarlet's going to get a small present. I have already taken the liberty of ordering it. Trust me, it's nothing major, but there's an OCD thing that has always annoyed me ever since I'd done a specific task to Scarlet. We're going to buy them, and we're going to fit them. That will be happening in the next couple of weeks. I've already bought them, actually. So it's that thing of, if she passes her MOT, she gets a present. If she doesn't pass her MOT, then she doesn't get the present. So that was how that worked. So yeah, there'll be a video for that coming up in the next couple of weeks. At some point, brakes wise, I'm probably going to do them, where are we now? This is mid-April. It'll probably not be in May. Might be in June that I decide to eventually swallow a brave pill and tackle the discs, pads, and we'll also look at doing those, replacing the hoses as well, just in order to bring everything up to scratch, because in all honesty, since I've owned Scarlet, braking's never been the greatest thing about the car. In all honesty, you put your foot on the pedal and hope for the best a lot of the time, but it is really noticeable now that they are pretty heavily worn. Braking is a bit of a challenge in the brain now, because you've got to think ahead to an extent. You think, right, I'm going to ease off a bit now. Just before I come up against anything that, you know, I would have to slam on for or that, just ease up rather than have to use heavy braking to slow down. Just ease up. So yeah, I'm trying to keep myself relaxed when I'm driving just now. But yeah, I mean, she does stop. It's actually, in all honesty, since I've driven her, what's this? She's up at, since the MOT, I've actually put on over 150 kilometres. Yeah, so yeah, she has, all the rust has come off and gone all over the beautiful alloys on the front of Scarlet now. So yeah, they're all caked in crap, so she'll need another wash. She does stop, but yeah, I definitely want to get that sorted. Also, the return of the 360 Just to Drives, yay! I was meant to bring the 360 camera with me today, but on my haste to get out to film this, I forgot. So that's still sitting back in the house. But we're going to do the first Just a Drive of the year that is somewhere that was recommended by the Gothic G-Man. I say recommended, basically he seems to go and find places and then I check him out on his channel and then we go and drive them. It's like a scouting party. So thanks, G-Man. We're going to go and drive one of his suggestions. That'll be the first Just a Drive of the year. Also, I am going to do a proper 2-3 minute video, probably do it while we're on that location actually. We're going to do a 2-3 minute video of just the pure exhaust noise again, because obviously it's totally changed how Scarlet sounds. It's ridiculous now, genuinely. It's unbelievable. It's a laugh, but trust me, see when you hear her sitting in the car, when you're in first and second gear, it's still so loud, it's so bassy. And then third gear is a hoot. Well, that's what I was rattling through the gears coming up here, and third gear just sounds absolutely off the scale. So see when you actually put your foot down and get up to about 5,000, 6,000 revs. Oh, and you could only be doing about 40 miles an hour and she's just screaming her head off. It's nuts. I love it. And I know that with Scarlet being off the road for 129 days, it's actually longer than she was off the road for Project Fox Repair. But the difference is that Project Fox Repair, I could do bits and pieces, and the cost wasn't as much as with buying the manifold and the cat in order to get that all fitted before she went in for MOT, because, as I've said already, it had to be done, because if it wasn't done, Scarlet would have went in, failed straight away. She wouldn't have even got through emissions, she wouldn't have got through anything because of the leaks, and it would have been a case of basically, yeah, we're not testing the car. I was told that anyway, so I knew that that had to happen because the exhaust leak was that bad on the cat. You've seen it yourself in the exhaust swap video. The corrosion on the joint between the manifold and, well, the manifold downpipe and the old cat was dreadful, shockingly bad. So yeah, that's all sorted now, and obviously I did kind of think, have I done everything right when I put it all together? That was the one I was genuinely worried about. That I was worried about the Racing Beat cat, which obviously, props to them, it does pass, and I was worried about my workmanship. Genuinely, those were my main worries. I thought, right, when I tightened everything up, I think I managed to get it all tightened up correctly, so I thought there shouldn't be any leaks, but you never know. I thought when you do something, you just don't know whether you've done it right or not. But yeah, anyway, that's it. All sorted. We've got another year, so yeah, there'll be all that stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks. Fingers crossed, hopefully. I do have a couple of days booked in off from work at some point. I can't actually remember when. My head's all over the shop just now. So there will be some 360s coming up. We will get all that other stuff done as well. Also, at some point there will be a video, probably at the end of May, start of June, roughly round about then. I'm going to be meeting another Unos. Yeah, I think we're going to be filming about that, so yeah, that'll be fun. Genuinely, I'm a bit worried that we're probably both going to end up binning it somewhere. But yeah, I think we'll call it quits there. As always, if you have been and if you've managed to sit through the entirety of this video, thank you very much, and until the next one, I'll catch you then. Bye. One more rev? One more? Yeah, why not?